Warning, the following video that I'm going to react to contains strong language even though it's censored, blood, violence, and gore, and death. If you do not like fan parody, or is a small individual that is not mature enough, I recommend you go to the search bar above and watch some episodes of My Little Pony. However, if you are sensible enough to respect fan works and fan parodies, and also is a person that likes horror videos, or anything horror in general, then this video is for you. Thank you. What's up YouTube, it's Geoffrey again. Today we're doing yet another react video, and today we are reacting to the long-awaited Shed 17. Now, I put that warning up there for a reason, because there's violence, blood, and gore, and death in this video. Anyways, let's stop rambling on that, and let's get to the video in 3, 2, 1, and play. Paul's Vids. Yes, this video was made by Paul's Vids, you know, Shed 17. And yes, I will react to the sequel soon, so stay tuned for that. Huh. It's the classic intro. Sodor Island, 1982. It's a nice remix for the intro. Whoa. What happened there? Sodor Island, present day. The windmill's down. Flashbacks. Present day and classic day. Yep, there's graffiti on the walls, there's a destroyed building. Station moment. Huh. Nice touch, Paul. But isn't that an African locomotive?
They were the stories that have charmed an entire generation. From the books
I read that
to the
book.
television series, people around the world have grown up with the railway stories, and all their cheerful characters.
I was one of those people that grew up with Thomas and Friends, but I'm not really scared of anything, so
fantasy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get scared by this. If I get scared by this, I owe you all $20. Shed 17.
It is 1945, and the remote island of Sodor, off the northwest coast of England, has emerged from the fog of World War II, relatively unscathed and untouched.
So how'd the island get there?
Island served as a detention
Like,
camp for
did it just like
Germans
magically
living in
appear?
England. That's
Oh,
how
Keith
Professor
Hartley.
came to be here.
Professor
And
Wilhelm
Professor
Goethe was
Wilhelm.
born in 1903 in Munich, Germany.
I like how this has some
Doctor in
interesting
biology,
history.
He became a prominent advisor to the ruling party in the 30s.
Now, you know how I said in the Lion King creepypasta that Nazis will not make things scarier? I mean, sure they are a scary thing to deal with, like in World War II era, but none of the Nazis would be alive, but yeah.
4-year-old son Hans fled the country.
The World of War.
Ja, ich habe nie einen solchen Befehl bekommen. Habt einmal gefragt, nicht wahr?
Yeah, the subtitles are down there that Wilhelm is saying because he speaks German.
That's what he wanted people to believe. The fact is, his experiments were hard to stomach even for his own people.
Then again, Keith Hartley does
In
have a
truth, he had
point.
become a prominent figure in
Like the twisted
government,
experiments
but
that
as
the
his work
Nazis did
progressed,
were kind of
questions
terrible.
and objections had been raised in the higher echelons of the Reich.
His work with genetics and DNA was truly pioneering. The cracking and manipulating
Dr. Owen
of the
Ruth.
human genome. What Professor Goethe was most successful in, however, was keeping his history a secret until his death.
Yeah,
In an
we'll get to
attempt
Wilhelm's
gain
death
favour among the
later
German
on in this
hierarchy,
video.
Wilhelm Goetze was at the forefront of the government's most fanatical policies. In 1938, he was influential in instigating the infamous Sajmelnacht, the Night of Sawdust. But, as his experiments advanced, he became a much less popular figure and soon feared for his and his family's lives.
As soon as they escaped to England, he was banged up here.
Okay.
But locals were nice to
Huh.
him. There was no hostility, and many of them chose to live here after
Why
the
would you
war.
want to live at
Following
Sodor
their
after the
release,
World War
Professor
II? I mean,
Goetze,
seriously.
Olga and young Hans chose
And
to
don't
remain.
worry, Shed 17
After
is
studying
not
under
canon
his
to the
father,
official
Hans
Thomas
left at the
event,
age of
so
18,
don't worry.
went to university on the mainland,
Your childhood will be
studying
saved.
biology and engineering, writing several pioneering papers about genetics and the splicing of DNA with mechanical implants.
He called it biofusion.
Biofusion?
The technique of manipulating genetic material to splice with mechanical attachments. However, much like his father, the British government became more and more concerned with Hans Goetz's proposals. So he was forced to seek financial backing from home.
His dad left Germany with quite a few bob, so Hans came back. He saw our little island as some sort of refuge where he could work in peace. Soon every nutcase and eccentric was coming over.
By 1962, Hans had set up Sodor Research, a small lab near the town of Alsborough, but soon the enterprise began
Look at
supplying
these
medical
machineries
equipment and machinery
that they
and
use in
quickly grew
hospitals.
to become a large complex comprising its own links to the growing Sodor rail
Whoa.
system.
Young Abby Collins from the town was working there when Professor Hans took a liking to her. Soon they were married, and not long after, the town was buzzing with news of her pregnancy.
Okay.
Baby Thomas was born in 1968. Throughout the
I just
early
noticed
years
that
of his life, he
the little
watched
boy
the growing
Thomas like
railway
has Thompson
network
Tank
with
Engine's face on
fascination.
it.
He couldn't get enough
Nice
of trains.
touch.
His dad bought him one of the first video cameras, and he'd be on the platforms every day. You can see me in some of those tapes.
Hiya, Mr. Hartley.
Morning, Thomas. But he was friends with everyone, even that simple bloke who could only say where he lived.
Sodor.
That
His
kind
favourite
of reminds me of
trains
Odor
were the
from
old steam engines.
Lord of the Rings.
Steam engines were a dying art on the British mainland, but Hans
No
also
wait,
had
I
a
don't think it was Lord of the
fondness
Rings.
for
I think it was Game
much
of
like his
Thrones.
son, and likes to keep them running for our purposes, taking orders from the labs to the growing docks, or to the mainland to be transferred to modern postal express trains.
But as the Sodor rail system
I could tell what's
expanded,
gonna happen when
found
there's
itself
more rail
increasingly
lines.
under the supervision
A
of
controller.
the new British rail network, and appointed a new controller.
Right, get off my
Oh
Sir
man.
Topham Hatt, born into money, he took his ridiculous
Like censored
name
swearing
to
makes
heart
everything
and
funny,
started
okay?
wearing a top hat all the time. Of course, we islanders had a different name for him.
fat bastard. You've never met such a cold-hearted He banned all steam engine volunteers.
The Sir Topham Hatt
cut
Museum,
most of rail
Arlesburg.
employees, shut down the branch line and the smaller stations. He was happy to let the railway rust
Why would you
away,
want a
just like
nicely
they did
fine
to
railway
the
to
main
rot
line.
away? I mean,
The
seriously.
fortunes of the railway were about to take a profitable turn.
Profitable
A
term.
stroke of luck for the island that would result from tragedy.
Come on, we're gonna be late. What's the time? Thomas, get moving.
Young Thomas loved following the railway. He'd be out all the time, hoping to catch a new train on his camera.
11:45's coming through soon. He won't wait for us.
Unfortunately, he didn't take as much
Beware of the
notice of
trains.
safety signs.
Yes, like,
Not being late.
have any of you played that game called Don't Waste a Die?
Wait
Because
for
there's this message that
11:45.
says be safe around trains, which is a message by Metro.
Must be late again. Thomas, come on. It's always held up.
And this is the reason why you're not supposed to stay on the train tracks when the train is passing by.
Hans was mortified. He disappeared from public view and into the labs. Locking himself in, he wouldn't allow anyone in there. Eventually his father Wilhelm came to see him.
In a few days, a major laboratory had been locked down, followed by an engine maintenance shed, which was to become off limits to all.
All production was shut down, orders weren't met, but the two Professor Goetzes didn't care. More and more equipment was being delivered daily, but no one was allowed in Shed 17.
Questions started being asked on Sodor. Where were the Gertzes?
I don't know.
Would there be no funeral for young Thomas?
I'm not sure about funeral,
Where was the
like,
body?
because there's not much
They
of a
arranged for
body
Thomas
left.
to be transferred to a mainland hospital. He'd been taken to the complex but was never moved by rail. We all assumed the obvious. He was still in lab.
But if Thomas was there, was he still alive?
Highly doubt it.
What was the purpose of keeping him
Unless-
in the complex?
They clone him.
Almost a year after the accident, the doors of Sodor research were reopened. In an open invitation to the people of the island, Thomas rolled out of Shed 17.
Huh. That's a counterproductive idea. Just clone him by turning him into a talking tank engine.
When he looked at me and said,
Hiya, Mr. Hartley.
it dawned on me what
How's he
Hans
regaining his
Gertz and dad
memory,
had done.
though? Like, how did he
The
keep his
woman passed
memory,
out
like,
as Thomas
intact?
smiled at us.
If the original Thomas
I had to
boy
run
was,
off
like,
round the side of the shed.
run over by that train.
Hey, are you alright, Keith?
Well, the
As
gag
news
jokes
spread
are
across
there
the
for,
country,
you know,
The world's
laughter.
media rushed to Sodor Island.
We'll get to that later.
They kept trying to interview me. I became a bit of a celebrity.
Controversy on Sodor Island. Questions asked about science ethics.
It's
Science
fair to say I
ethics.
was pretty nervous at times,
Joined now by Keith Hartley.
but I think I put on a brave face.
Oh, the
What did you
interviews.
think when you first came to meet Thomas the Tank Engine?
Wow, that's one way to screw up the interview.
Most of my mates said I looked pretty good on telly. The mayor said I'd represented the
Sort of
people of
experiment.
Sodor very well. It's
Kindness or
important to
cruelty?
show you're confident when people are asking you awkward questions.
Only on Weekend World.
Good evening. An act of mercy or a crime against humanity? I am joined now by Keith
Even when
Hartley.
some of the questions got difficult, I made sure I knew
Alright,
what I
again,
was
he's gonna
talking
screw us
about.
up.
What was your reaction when you first met a talking tank engine?
If you can't make an informed opinion, or if you can't string together
Why is
two
Keith
words
Hartley
on
like
telly,
screwing every interview
well,
up except for
maybe
the
you
one in
should be on
documentary?
there.
I mean, seriously.
Admittedly, the subject matter was a bit bizarre sometimes.
There are some dark forces at work here.
Oh my
You're
god.
alright as long as you could win over the audience.
Thing is, they're laughing at you. They're not laughing with you.
Well, there goes that
The Gertz
interview.
family refused to answer any questions. Behind closed doors, the only question they agreed to answer had been asked repeatedly. Would Thomas work on the railway?
Yeah, it wouldn't be safe for
The
Thomas to
response
work.
was an emphatic no.
Yeah, so it
Thomas's
wouldn't be a
DNA
yes
had
at
been
all.
reprogrammed to accept and adapt to the engine structure, using the engine's internal system to maintain his organic functions. What no one
Blueprints!
could be sure of was how much of the engine was mechanical
Huh,
and how
that's
much
a
was
nice little
organic
blueprint
material.
of Thomas there.
Thomas had been able to move around without coaches, but to work on the railway, his engine would need to be fired up and operated by a driver and fireman.
Since no one could be sure how much of the engine
Whoa.
was Thomas,
Muscle
the
mass?
pressure caused by the engine could rupture his
Ow.
organs from the inside, and the incredible heat could boil him alive.
Yeah, no crap, because he's a
Professor
talking
Hans and
train.
his father vowed Thomas would never work on the railways.
I'm a
Similarly,
tank engine.
The two
Whoops,
professors
that's
were
a
to refuse
error there.
many requests by people from around the world who wished to be biofused into engines.
They were billionaires
Well,
offering
that's
to pay
some
whatever they
Photoshop.
wanted to be converted into an engine or some other transport.
Like, who is that?
We're an
And who's
enthusiast
that?
too, and people with terminal illnesses
Mr.
were
Star,
desperate
Mr.
to be
Walter,
made
Mr.
into
Hughes,
trains.
Mr. Bill.
But for some reason, the
Mr. T.
Gertzes refused.
But there
Well,
would
that's a
be
lot of
other
names of
interested
people that wanted to
parties
get biofused,
eager to
but it
seize
was
on
not
the
safe at all.
biofusion gold mine. The independently wealthy Topham Hatt staged a hostile takeover, and within weeks had bought a controlling share in Sodor research.
Immediately, the policy of the company changed, And so did the ethics.
Here we
The
go again
medical
with the
supply wing was
mentioning
shut
of
down,
the
and work
ethics.
began on mass biofusion experiments and operations.
Ethics? More like logic.
Anyone who could afford it, some handing over their whole fortunes, were turned into engines.
Wait, people would pay
Along with
the
new
scientists
policy,
just
there
to
would be
turn them into
worse to
talking
come.
engines?
Biofused engines would be allowed, then
Okay.
obliged to work on the railways.
The first one we fired up was James.
Hey, it's my boy James!
These people had, and so agreed to basically sign his life away if they wanted to experiment further, or to take massive risks like this. As usual, the fat had everything recorded. All kept classified, you understand.
These recordings, shown for the first time, reveal the extent of Sir Topham Hatt's experiments.
It was horrible watching these engines work on the railways some days. But the tourists wanted to see it. They expected it. And for me, it was work.
Yeah, first when I first saw
With the new engines
that
increasing
that
work
shot,
schedule,
or when I
came
heard
more and
James,
more
like
accidents.
I thought he died, but no, he's
Edward
still
was
alive.
supposed to have problems.
Oh
He'd
no,
been
Edward.
filming all
Now
day
Edward.
for the new TV series they'd announced.
Delete
for his
footage.
last scene, he had to pull into Wellsworth Station and
What's so bad
whistle
about
to
that?
the kids on the platform.
Peep, peep, whistled Edward. Thank you very much.
Whoa.
Sadly, this was only the first.
That's the
in an
reason why I
increasing
warned
number
people
of
about the
incidents.
blood.
Harold had an obsession with aircraft and
Harold?
appears to become a helicopter. The operation had gone well, but we had to ban him from being allowed to attempt flight.
In an experiment kept secret until now, Mavis the diesel engine was to be the first biofused locomotive
Oh,
used
Mavis.
on the railway.
We fueled her up and everything seemed fine. Then things got out of hand.
The diesel began to burn her internal organs. Everything organic in the engine was soon burning.
No.
Have you ever heard a locomotive scream in pain? We tried rinsing
I see
out the
Flynn.
fuel tank with water, but by then it was too late.
Mavis's body
Why
would
is
be kept
Flynn
under lock
there?
and key indefinitely. In an unexpected U-turn, Sir Topham Hatt would ban fueled engines from
Well,
being
rest in
used
peace,
on the
Mavis.
island.
Harold was never told why he couldn't fly, but the decision would keep him alive, if only for a little while longer.
Yeah, it would
In
be
fact,
just best
unknown
not to
the
fly at
outside
all
world,
if you're a
there have
biofused
been
helicopter.
many failed biofusion experiments.
That fat bastard kept the accidents a secret.
Why would you keep the
And
accidents a
legal
secret?
disclaimers
I
had
mean,
to be
seriously.
signed by anyone being biofused. So there'd be no legal action taken if anything went
Legal
wrong.
action?
This
Huh.
footage shows engines being displayed to tourists during the off-season. Many of these engines were failed biofusion experiments and were too ill to work or were already dead.
They had to put a stop to that, though.
Oh. Jesus!
With all accidents happening, everyone started asking the same thing. Why had Thomas, the first engine, worked so well?
Wait, so
Despite all the
Thomas is
troubles
allowed
the
to
other
work on the
engines
railway,
Thomas
but
had worked
all the
fine,
other engines
seemingly
are not.
oblivious to the other engines' problems and accidents.
Keeping their problems a secret from the outside world,
Unless-
Sodor Research began selling
I
their
have a
technology
theory.
to
I'll
other
tell you guys
countries
that theory
in
after.
multi-million-pound deals. These countries would have less qualms about the use of fuel engines, and even the modern electric trains. Even
Huh.
failed biofused engines were being displayed publicly
Oh, it's my Mac.
in what would become a kind of freak show. To his horror, Professor Hans Goetze saw what this was leading to: slavery of engines, and immediately resigned.
Huh.
His father, Wilhelm, would go one step further.
So there's Wilhelm. Uh-oh. What's that on his desk? Oh, it's a gun. A Mauser? Oh no. Don't do it, dude. Wait, that's sawdust.
Professor
Where's the
Wilhelm
blood?
couldn't come to terms with
Oh,
what was
I get
happening
it,
to
because
his engines.
the humans are
That
made of
took
wood.
the only course he thought he could take.
That's not how bullets work.
That fat got a load of us rail staff over to his house to clean up after the body was taken away. You should have seen it. Sawdust
Yep, it was
everywhere.
sawdust.
It took us days.
But such attempts to keep the incidents on Sodor a secret were short-lived, after a very public accident.
Gordon paid an enormous amount to be Sodor's first 462 configuration.
Oh, it's Gordon.
Engine. Much bigger than any other engine at the time. We were terrified that fat shite would make us fire up that huge engine.
We were shocked to discover he had insisted on being able to work on the railway.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
So, one night, after the
work on
regular
railway
staff
if you're
had
gonna
finished
just,
for the
like,
day, fast
like
some
something's
of the
gonna
rail
happen.
staff and I fired up the engine.
As usual, these experiments were filmed. This footage has never been broadcast before.
Dr. Ruth and I filmed it all.
It might be a bit shaky. It was handheld. At first, Gordon complained about the heat. Then that turned to pleas to douse the fire.
Uh-oh.
But that fat bastard held us back. He wanted to see what would happen.
He argued he had put a lot of work into Gordon, and the chances to get him working were too great an opportunity. He was literally cooking from the inside.
Uh-oh.
By the time we were allowed to act, it was too late.
Whoa. Huh. Why is the fire
I wasn't as
blue?
near to him as some of them. All I could
Yeah,
do
the
was
fire's
run.
like,
I was lucky to
cyan
get
blue.
away with some singed clothes. Others weren't so lucky.
The fateful few hours following the accident.
Wait, that's how big the
would seal
explosion
fate
was?
Of Sodor research.
The fact
my gosh.
stopped us trying to put out the fire, insisting that any evidence would fall back on us.
Wait, so you,
kept
if you
repeating,
were
"This
Sir
was
Topham
all
Hatt, you
your
would just
fault.
blame
You're
someone else over this
dangerous.
accident? That's
You're legally
just
to
mean.
blame." He stopped us calling for ambulances or the fire brigade.
And stop the
We
ambulances and
told
fire
him,
brigade,
"These
that's
are
just
injured
mean.
people here. They're going to die unless we do something." But he kept saying, "No one from the outside can come in. No one can see this."
Finally, someone suggested we airlift them to hospital.
Oh, I don't think that's good either.
Flying for his own safety, but we thought the risk was worth it.
Harold.
Fueling Harold was a nervous experience. Would he have the same reaction Mavis had?
I don't
We
know.
all breathed a sigh of relief and loaded the injured people aboard. Then it all went wrong.
Oh no. That failed.
Harold's engine had worked fine, but what no one realized was most of
More
Harold's lower
blueprints.
extremities were permanently fused to his propeller system.
Huh, so that's what
As
caused the
Harold's rotor
explosion.
blades began to spin, vital organs would be drawn into the motor and tear him apart from the inside.
Then the question is, how did the
Well,
vital
now there's
organs
no
that of
covering the
Harold,
top.
like,
The smoke
how
could
they
be seen
fused to his
all morning,
propellers?
but
Like, I mean,
these
how they
people
fused to
were
the
here in an
propellers?
instant. We were told
No
to
one will
close
know.
gates and start clearing up the mess ourselves, with some help.
Hey,
The
Henry!
was the only 420 gauge engine on the island. A large engine that had been working on the railway regularly, he had become popular among tourists and the locals.
Henry was called into the yard to help tidy the mess.
Wait, so Henry's
Working
also
mostly at
the
night,
only other
he would
engine that was
cultivate the
working at the
wreckage
time?
under cover of darkness.
Huh.
We had to
So
work
apparently
quickly
they
and
learned from their
quietly,
mistakes, and
and we
Henry
can't wreckage
and
from the
Thomas
yard
are the only
or
ones
into
working
the
so
sea.
far.
Then
Huh.
one night, the points were set wrong,
Uh-oh.
and we were diverted to another shed.
Shed
Henry had
17.
inadvertently been sent to shed number 17, where Thomas had been biofused into a tank engine and had subsequently been declared out of bounds.
It was dark, and these sheds all looked the same. I unlocked the doors, and Henry rolled in. I didn't see what Henry saw, because as soon as he put his head through doors, he bolted and reversed out.
Well,
Keith locked the shed up without seeing what was inside. But Henry had seen it all.
We wouldn't even dare talk about that shed, more than our job's worth.
Keith Hartley
Henry
does have a
decided
point.
to speak up and confront Sir Topham Hatt. That night, he arrived at the railway controller's office.
I don't know what was said in there, but there were raised voices at times. They had a shouting match for 10 minutes. Then Henry left, back to the shed.
By pure chance, he was sent back to the same shed as Thomas that night, and with one sentence, he sealed both their fates.
Uh-oh.
Henry only said one thing to him: stay away from shed 17. The next day, the fat had a new job for him.
The Flying Kipper route ran through the night, delivering fish from the docks to the mainland, across the highest altitude line in the country.
That old line was treacherous at best, but when Henry was put on there, in the middle of winter, it was a death trap.
In 1970, fish had started being delivered by road to the mainland.
Yeah, Henry's
It was safer
train
and more
that the train that Henry usually
and the line
pulls
was
in
declared
the television
redundant.
series is usually
Dangerous
fish.
and unnecessary, it came as a shock to the islanders when it was reopened.
That fat shite always hated Henry. He didn't like his cheerful manner, and he clearly had other lifestyle choices when he was a human.
What does that mean?
Fat wanted Henry away from the other engines, and Kipper Run was a death sentence.
On the night
Lifestyle
of February
choices?
the 8th, 1983, Henry had only been on the Kipper Run for a week. The following incident would be made into a book and later recreated in the television series.
I also read that
This is the
Flying
train
Kipper
the
book
railwaymen
from
call
the railway
the
series.
Flying Kipper.
Can you believe they put it in a kid's story? Of course, that fat f***er changed quite a few of their facts.
They couldn't
Like
know
I
the
said,
planes on the mainland
this
were
video
silent
is
and
not
frozen,
canon
and
to
the home
Thomas and
signal should have been
Friends.
set at
It's just made its own
danger,
separate
but
canon.
snow had forced it down.
As the train approached the most treacherous part of the
Uh-oh.
line, unnoticed to Henry, his driver and fireman, the points had
Uh-oh.
diverted them to the adjoining
Uh-oh.
siding, and right into the path of another train.
Hey, those freight cars say The Rock on it. Is that like a rock reference to, you know, the wrestler or musician?
In fact, Alan Barry died from their injuries.
Huh.
Slowly, in snow. The poor bastards.
By midday, the recovery operation was underway, and Sir Topham Hatt had arrived.
Cheer up, Henry. It wasn't your fault. Ice and snow caused the accident.
These images from a train spotter's camera were taken the evening before.
More
and were
surveillance?
successfully covered up by the Sodor Railway Board for 10 years.
There was a railway spike in points.
So that's
back in
what
them.
caused the accident.
Of course, that had disappeared by the time we got
Then
there.
how did it get...
I'm sending
How did
you
it
to
disappear?
Crewe, a fine place for sick engines.
Crew. We all knew what that meant.
They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox.
Crewe was, at the time, one of only 2 scrap metal yards in the UK capable of handling and recycling organic material as well as engine parts.
You'll feel a different engine and won't need special coal anymore.
With those few words, he'd sentence Henry to death.
Aw.
Won't that be nice? Yes, sir, said Henry doubtfully.
Everyone knew he wouldn't see him again, and everything was sewn up nice and neat for that fat As news got out about Henry's accident, it didn't take long for Thomas to realise Henry had been disposed of because of what he knew.
The next evening, Thomas had been put on his own for the night at Knapford Station. As his driver and fireman left, under what was left of his own steam, he set off for the Sodor Research Complex.
He had a small amount of burning fuel in his firebox, but he was mostly moving under his own strength. It took Thomas 3 hours to get to the complex.
3 hours?
The effort to get there nearly killing him.
Thomas arrived at midnight.
Huh.
With
I think I
no
just
one
found
around.
out something. Like,
He made his way
Thomas
to the
left
where
that
he was
shed,
created.
like, to go shed 17 at
He
9
found the
p.m.
answers to his
And it took
questions
3 hours
and many
to
others.
get to shed 17.
Since Sodor Research
So
had
9 plus
become
3 equals
producing
12.
biofuels vehicles,
Huh.
the world had asked,
That's good. That's a
why
good
has
math
the first
question for me.
biofusion operation worked
I
so
can actually,
well?
like,
But
add
nearly every
time
operation
to
since
that.
had failed. Sadly, Thomas found the reasons inside.
Whoa. Would anyone want to enter this building? I guess
Thomas
not.
had never been the first operation. He hadn't even been second.
What shed number 17 contained was evidence of several attempts to create a tank engine with Thomas's DNA. These had been early tests made by people with no experience of an experiment on this scale. Ill-planned and unprepared, these procedures had used DNA from the human Thomas and had been as much the real Thomas as the tank engine the world had come to know and love.
To us, Thomas the Tank Engine had been the Thomas we all knew as a boy. Part of the family the whole island's population had known and respected since Wilhelm first arrived.
In actuality, this tank engine was no more the real Thomas than all the failed creations made over the 12 months before.
This Thomas had all the human Thomas's memories and experiences.
Oh, I think I did say something about memory.
Known who
like
Thomas had known.
memory,
But
like
so had all the previous failures.
restoration.
Wilhelm and Hans Goetze had to learn through trial and error how to bring their Thomas back from the dead. The following experiments had not had the same work put into them, resulting in the freak engines and aircraft that had developed so many problems on Sodor Island.
Whoever's scared
and around
to
the
watch
world.
scary videos, I recommend you
In Shed
click away
17,
right now, because
Thomas
this is where
wouldn't
the
discover
blood and
who
gore
he was,
and scary
but in
imagery
fact,
comes up
who
along
he wasn't.
the video. So yeah, scary imagery is on the way, so I recommend you turn away now. Unless you're brave enough to watch something like this. I mean, like me. Oh, I gotta watch this. What is that? So the trauma's really strong for Thomas. Like, I could tell this could be a bit traumatic. Whoa. Also, that scream that Thomas is screaming out is the scream that Tinky Winky used in the Slendy Tubbies games.
Only one of many clones. None of us did. But
Just,
I guess as time
fact.
passed, we stopped asking all the questions we had.
Wait, so
at
this
first.
Thomas was a clone
We were just glad
all
our friend
along?
was back with us.
That's a major
He
plot
worked for
twist.
us. He became our servant in a way. Someone who drew in the crowds, helped create jobs, was eager to work. Thomas always thought of us as his friends. Sadly, over time we came to think of him as just
really useful.
Really useful.
Okay, Thomas, you can chill now. You don't scratch that. Yeah, that is a bit traumatic. For him, that is. You sure about that? Oh yeah, that's real footage from the nuclear flask test, the wind scale nuclear flask test. I saw that footage in a documentary, like, or some kind of History Channel thing. Wait. Hold the phone. How does Topham Hatt disappear without trace, and whereabouts never be found? 23 reconstructive operations for Thomas. Wait, so Thomas is still alive, right? Oh man. So biofusion is still allowed in China? Oh, and the Qinghai Tibet Railway. Biofusion trains never late, always on time, never complain. Much easier to discipline. That's what subtitles say. And that scream is from The Untold Story of Timothy. Wow. Holy cow. I know how so many... Oh wait, I got... Oh, I remember that show. Like, is that an old show created by like the creator of Postman Pat?
Did ITV know? And where next for Robin?
How they do that?
And Rosie?
How they animate the heads on the real life people? I mean, how they do that? Okay, so like I was saying, that was really, like quite the ride. Like Paul's vids, this video of Shed 17 is just amazing, okay? Like, I may be a fan of Thomas and Friends and a bunch of other stuff, but this, I can imagine this being released on DVD. Like, this was so good. I mean, sure, it's scary for some people in their opinions, but for me, that was amazing. Wow. Woo! That was just amazing. Oh, so this was made in 2015. Oh, there's more. The Costa Concordia. Huh, so biofusion works for boats as well. Wow. That was definitely something. Like, I loved how the animation was, and I am going to react to the sequel, Project G1. I will react to that, like, next. But this video was really requested by me, by my fans, and all the other horror video junkies that are out there, like, on, you know, the internet, and YouTube. I mean, I can explain why Shed 17 was age-restricted because of the blood, gore, and violence. I mean, it makes sense, but it's a good thing that the swears were censored because that could also been a reason why it got age-restricted. Anyways, like, I also like the aspects on how all they described on stories on, you know, and injuries and deaths of engines like Gordon, Henry, Edward, James. You know, all those characters. And I remember that moment where Percy's eyes rolled up into his face and his face like breaks off a bit. That kind of reminded me of a moment from I think Cloverfield. Like, where one of the characters from a Cloverfield was bit by one of those Cloverfield monsters, like the miniature parasite ones. And when she was going to the medical area, like, she started to get infected, and then she just exploded. Like, even though you could just see the shadow of the death. And that was really an amazing video, Paul. Like, I like that. Like, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and what are you going to want me to react to next after Project G1? This is Geoffrey and I am out.